Hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. Bree Sedano coming to you live today. And today we're going to talk about money blocks, one of the biggest money blocks that I see. And it's not just a money block, it's like an all around wealth blocker. Like all of the good stuff in life is blocked by feelings of not good enough, unworthiness, undeservingness. They're all kind of different flavors of the same thing. So that is what we are going to talk about today. So if this is your first time ever watching me live, please say hello so that way I could welcome you and say hi to you. If you're somebody who watches all the time, please say hello. And as we get into this, please feel free to comment. If you know a friend that should totally hear this message, please feel free to share this with them, tag them, whatever feels good. And also, like, we're not running ads, so if you enjoy this, please feel free to share it. All right, so let's get into it. So one of the common themes that I work with clients on is a feeling of sometimes clients will say something like, "Oh, I don't know if I'm good enough to do the thing. I'm not sure if I deserve my goals. I feel, you know, like unworthy, undeserving, not good enough." Right? And so generally those three sentences kind of allude to the same sensory, like, sense of something, that same emotional place. Now, what I want to explain to you without question is that you are worthy because you are. Like, your existence is evidence of your worthiness. Like, you're worthy because you are. And there's nothing that I or any other coach or practitioner will do to make you any more worthy than you are. Like, it's just not possible. Like, you're already 10 out of 10, a zillion out of a zillion worthy. Like, it just is. Like, your existence alone is evidence of that. So why do so many people feel unworthy is really like where we start to understand this. Now, the way that it kind of goes is that when we're little kids, when we're toddlers and we're growing up and small children, teenagers, whatever. When you're a child, you literally need to be loved. Your brain all day, every day is looking for survival. And when you're a very small child, you are not tall enough to reach the stove and you don't know how to work a can opener. So you have to literally be loved to survive. And so, what we start to do when we're a kid and our prefrontal cortex isn't developed yet, like with that part of our brain that really does high level thinking, it's not online until we're a little bit older. So we start seeing, all right, well, if I do this, I get more love and attention. If I do that, I get negative attention. If I do this, right? So it may be things like, if I'm a good girl, I put my toys away, I get more love and attention. If I'm a bad girl who is curious and walks away from mom to go look at flowers, I am a bad girl, unworthy of love and attention. If I cry, they want me to stop that. If I do this, I get more love and attention. And so that is where we start to put conditions on our worthiness. Now, that is your brain just saying to you, hey, if you do this, you get more love and belonging. You get more love, attention, belonging, whatever. And so in time, that survival mechanism gets real big. And so when we start layering on these conditions of worthiness, so it starts with like who I am, what I do, body stuff, right? Like we're if you're watching this, you're probably an American woman, or and so you're supposed to be a certain size or shape, right? And so we internalize these messages. Now, where this gets extra complicated is that we get these kinds of messages of who we need to be worthy of love and belonging, and they crisscross across roles and across like sources, right? So, like maybe like you learn one thing in your religion or your church, synagogue, your religious community in general. And that may not be the same thing that you learn from the news, and that may not be the same thing that you learn from your mom, right? And so these patterns of conditions that we put on our own sense of worthiness become very complicated. And they become like layers of conditions. Now, where this becomes a problem is where the conditions are contradictory. And I'll give you an example. So when I was a couple of years ago, before I started in Senate, like at this point, I guess 7 years ago, before I was in Sheep to Shark, I remember there were years that I perpetually felt a sense of not good enoughness and inadequacy. So much so that I would literally sit on a stool in my kitchen and I would cry, kind of a lot, to be honest. And the issue was that, so I had these conditions. I had three major roles in my life. I was a wife, a mom, and I was a stockbroker, right? Major roles, right, in my life. And I had a belief, I had a condition that I needed to be available for my clients to see at night so that way I could be good at my job and I could take good care of my clients. I had a condition that it said to be a good mom, I need to cook dinner and be home with my kids most of the time. And to be a good wife, I needed to have a clean house, which is funny because I made that up. My husband doesn't think that. But we carry on. Let's just carry on. And so I could literally never meet those three expectations at the same time. And so I would perpetually feel not good enough. I perpetually felt like a failure. I perpetually felt inadequate because I would, like, if I was working at night, I was good at my job, but I was being a bad mom. If my house was clean, I was for sure screaming at my children because they were little at the time. And I don't know if you've ever had the experience of cleaning your house while your small children are literally crunching Cheetos on your living room floor, right? Like, these are the things. And so these three conditions for major roles in my life, I was not able to simultaneously meet them. And therefore, I became wired for pain. And so no matter what successes could come to me, I didn't feel deserving of them. I felt like a bad mom. I felt like I was bad at my job. I felt like a bad wife. Right. And so those conditions really kept me from showing up in big ways, really, like, those conditions they tortured me. I mean, I tortured myself. I'm like, they tortured me. These are my own conditions I put in. I put on my own sense of worthiness at various times in my life. Like, nobody does these things to you. You take these things on, which honestly is kind of annoying, and also puts you in this state where they're powerful, right? Like, you're in control of these conditions. Like, you're in control. Like, it's your ideas that are just layered on top of your own sense of worthiness. So you have complete control of these. And so the thing about worthiness is that most people approach it like, oh, well, if I make more money, I'll be more worthy. If I have the right body shape, I'll be more worthy. If I have the love of my life, I will be worthy. And generally, we don't say these sentences out loud, but it's like, if we have these external things, we will feel our own sense of love and belonging. It's like an underlying theme that I've seen with basically all of the clients that I've worked with, because worthiness is an issue that we all, like, every single one of us has a worthiness issue, because it's almost like an energetic belly button. The way that I kind of see it is like, look, human beings have this infinite consciousness, like, we're stardust, where the fact that we're here is amazing. Like, if you wanted to watch an episode of One Strange Rock, the first episode will make you feel like, oh my God, I am so lucky to exist. Right? So on this one level, our inner beings, our souls, our infinite worthiness is there on the cosmic level. No questions asked. But here we are in these little squishy meat suits that deteriorate as we age, that are not to standard, that will just eat peanut butter with no pants on in the kitchen. Like, we're both. We're both. And so worthiness is a thing, because at the exact same time, you're infinitely worthy, infinitely capable, infinitely magical being. And also, you're a soul in a squishy meat suit that is certainly going to die at some point, and you can't be all the things. Right? Like, you literally can't be more than one place at one time. Annoying. You're not going to live forever. You can't be good at everything. You're not going to do all of the jobs, and you have one lifetime. You're probably not going to go to all the places you wanted to go. And so this is like the conundrum, right? It's the infinity of our inner being trapped in the absolute finiteness of the human experience. And so every client, every person has some junk on their own sense of worthiness. Like, it's just like everybody's got a belly button. Like, if you're born, you had a belly button. Like, it just is, right? And so the thing about worthiness that we need to pay attention to is just, where are these conditions? Because you get to decide which conditions. And honestly, they're all nonsense. They're all nonsense, but they take a while to see. It's They're generally deeply ingrained, and they do take some reflection and some time to see. But the thing about it is, it's all nonsense. Like, you get to decide as soon as you see it. Like, I am worthy the size and shape that I am. If I was to be a different size, that may be cool, and I may desire to be a different size or shape, but like, it's not going to change my sense of worthiness. If I make $1 zillion a year or $10 a year, my sense of like, it's got nothing to do with your sense of worthiness. Um, there's other things there. Like, there's other things, like, you'll face disappointment or excitement or whatever on these journeys to do these things. But when we attach our external results, our external outcomes, our goals, our successes, our failures to our sense of worthiness, we're really in a place where we're wired for pain. And so that's a situation that we want to just start to pay attention to these things. And one of the questions that I ask in, I think we did this in 30 Days to Get a Raise, which is included in the Cash Confident membership. So if this talk is really hitting home, you may want to join Cash Confident and take some of my courses there. But it's like, who would you need to be good enough, at different aspects or roles in your life? Like, what would I need to do? Who would I need to be? And you'll start to see the conditions that we put on ourselves. And when you layer these over different aspects of your life, you're going to find contradictory conditions. And the contradictions are where we're wired for pain, because you literally can't win. So, like, when I was telling you about the time that I would literally sit in my kitchen and cry about my inadequacy, it was because I was wired for pain. It was because if I was doing good at work, I wasn't doing good enough at home. If my house was clean, I was a bad mom. If I was a good mom, I was a bad wife. Like, I couldn't win. I couldn't win. I couldn't win. And it's exhausting. And that's the place where so many women are. And that creates, and it's not just a financial abundance block, but it's like a full life wealth, like all of the good shit blocker. Because when you feel like you don't deserve it, you let it go. When you feel like you're not worthy of it, you can't hold on to it. When you feel like you're not worthy of it, it's exhausting to have, because it doesn't match who you believe you are. And so the work to do around worthiness is literally just to remove the conditions. That's the best that we can do with these things. It's not to build a sense of worthiness. It's not to create more worthiness. Like, you're already there. It's just to look at the conditions that we have and then decide that any unnecessary, old, outdated, unhelpful conditions, and they're all going to be in that category, you're just going to mentally let them go. And that's really what you do. It's more about removing the layers to the word, like, that are like, look, this is I have this glass jar, this infinitely worthy glass jar. But over time, let's say I paint it. I paint it with a layer of, you have to be on time. You have to be a good girl. You have to be nice. You have to be smart. Oh, but look at, but not too smart. You have to go to work every day, but you also have to work, mother your kids like you don't have a job. And you have to be a sex goddess and drink enough water. And like, you have to take good care of yourself, and you have to take good care of your spouse. And we start to see the layers and the contradictions. So, like, if we were to make this glass jar that was all covered up in layers of paint, we can't make it more of a glass jar. We're not going to add glass to the outside of the paint. That doesn't make any sense. We're going to take the paint off, and that's the work that's there to do around our sense of worthiness. Because the thing about worthiness that has the financial component is, the more that you see, feel, understand, believe, touch, and have access to that infinite sense of worthiness, the more good stuff that you have capacity for. That's the way that it goes. And it may be financial capacity, it may be love abundance, it may be health abundance, it may be whatever kind of abundance you want. Like, it's all of the things. Because as we see and declare our own sense of worthiness to the world can match that. But if we don't feel worthy, we're not going to be able to hold whatever good thing that we want to come our way. So that is my TED Talk for today. I hope that is helpful. Oh, good. Look at somebody thinks that it's helpful. Beautiful. So listen, inside Cash Confident, there's two courses that we have that touch on worthiness, and that will go in depth on the subject, and teach you kind of like all of the details about conditions of worthiness. And there's worksheets and workbooks to help you find your own conditions and to techniques that will teach you to help you break those conditions down. And then in Cash Confident, we also have coaching calls where you can come and talk to me and I can help you figure these things out in small group settings. And really, it's one of the things that's probably the most worth doing in all aspects of growth and personal development because the sense of your sense of worthiness, your sense of belonging and like deservingness of love, it and a love like all of the good things that life has to offer type love, not just a romantic love, but that is one of the deepest and most impactful works to work on really increasing your earning capacity, your having capacity, all of the things in your like all aspects to your financial life. And so we have the two courses that are inside Cash Confident, and then there's coaching that's available to you. And that program is $99 a month, or it's $897 per year. The value versus price is crazy, crazy, crazy good. Um, and so if that sounds like something that you want, the link to join Cash Confident is in the description. It's www.cashconfident.com. We'll take you right to the page where you can join. But that's my talk for today. So I hope this helped. I love you. I appreciate you, and feel free to share this. Thanks.